you, Malti and Gombani ji, for introducing this subject in great detail. As Mr. Popley has spoken at great length to bring the whole subject in the right perspective. And we are very eminent speakers. Let me recognize Mr. Saurabh Kumar, Mr. Jindal, Dr. Rahul Walwakar, and Renuka Gera. I think she is the only lady director on the board of BHL, I remember. And I think in Power Group, in NTPC and Power Grid, we yet to have the lady director on the board. And we also have Mr. Bami, the founder, president of this India Energy Forum. We have Anil Razdan, and we also saw in the beginning Mr. R.S. Sharma, former chairman of ONGC. And we have about over 60 participants. I welcome you all. We have been choosing contemporary subject on energy, and we cover all the verticals of energy. And in the last many months, we have done a number of such debates and discussions. And this time we thought that it is good to talk on and debate on EV charging and battery storage. And the context is that in the last 4-5 years, several changes, not changes, but disruptions are taking place in terms of technology, and better options are becoming available. So when better options become available, which could be affordable, which could be easy, which could be environment friendly, that becomes the right context for the policymakers to make big shifts in the strategy. And therefore, because of the changes that are happening in energy, we have been depending on coal for long, on hydro, nuclear again is coming into the context now. Petroleum we have depended for long, because when we were students, we used to have steam engines in the railway system, and now our railway system is primarily on the petroleum. So therefore, depending on this, which phase of development we are talking, and depending on the technological advancements and almost disruptions, we change the context, and we change the strategy, and we change the policy. And that is this time today. Last 5 years, they have witnessed many changes in the energy field, and therefore better options are available. Only today, one news item has come that this quarter, the quarter that ended, import bill for crude oil jumps over 190%, almost 200%. And it is expected that this year, 21-22, our crude bill would be of the order of $100 billion, which is almost 7 to 8 lakh crore of rupees, you can imagine. And therefore, this issue that we are discussing today, that we have been discussing for the last 4-5 years, particularly electric vehicle, not only electric vehicle, all transport systems should be into a shifting mode from petroleum to electricity. Electricity itself was a very rare commodity, very difficult, in shortage always. We have dealt with electricity for decades, and always shortages, peaking shortage, average shortage. Today, because of emergence of renewables at affordable prices, electricity shortage in today's context, at least you can see the foreseeable future, that becomes available. There are choices, and choices are such that they are environment friendly as well. So on one hand, we have the heavy burden in India of the petroleum bills, which are all dollar denominated, and we suffer from on account of price escalations, and we suffer on account of dollar-rupee relations both. So therefore, from coal we shifted to petroleum. From petroleum on transport we shifted also to gas. I think we have a very eminent personality in today's participation, Mr. Sharma, and we have had discussion on gas. And the country is planning gas from 6% of the energy basket to 15% of the energy basket. But during the period we have talked about this, and this is becoming a very favorite option. But then during this period, you see the LNG prices, the way it has gone. So therefore one becomes very confused. to what extent we can continue to depend on petroleum or gas when our domestic support in terms of availability is comparatively much less, and we continue depending on the import. So that subject becomes a very, very relevant subject. But I must say that in the last 5 years that we have talked, and Saurabh is here, he has done a wonderful job from the Bureau of Energy Efficiency and now from the organization which EESL, which he headed, still he continues to be the vice chairman. A lot of work. But during this period, I can see there is some slowness. The way with enthusiasm we went about this, and therefore our automobile, that's also a factor. Where we lose sight of some of the policy level strategy is that we see an ideal, but we don't work out a proper transition management. The management of transition from the present conventional transport system, and Mr. Popli gave great details of the whole global scenario, how things have been changing very fast here. In Indian context, that automobile manufacturers, and we should be proud of our automobile manufacturers, and it is very much employment oriented. I think 2 years back or 3 years back, they raised a hue and cry that if this change happens very fast, then what happens to the ancillary in the automobile sector and the employment in the automobile sector? And what happens to the sort of improvement they have done in manufacturing systems? They brought the manufacturing systems to the latest global norms, and for that they spent capex, and they are exporting on that basis the vehicles. So they raised hue and cry, and therefore I think some effect of that is also there. And another effect is the battery. I mean, if we get in terms of any target that we make, suppose we make the target that in the next 10 years or even 15 years, all the vehicles on the road, all the transport system would be only through the electric vehicle. It can be. One thing looks quite certain, that electricity will be available. And electricity will be available with affordable choices, with options which are environment friendly, and now also in the domain of very nice commercial pricing, where competition also happens, and you get, so that will be available. Would enough battery be available? Do we have manufacturing capability? So that is one challenge that one has to see. It shouldn't happen like we have done solar very fast, but most of the solar that has been done so far, about 40,000 megawatt, and most of it is import. And some of the manufacturing that has started in India, that manufacturing again imports almost 70% of what they do here. When it comes, modules, when they come, it is 70%, 65 to 70% import based. So therefore, preparedness of during the transition management, also from the point of view of how the related sectors support us to achieve what we wish to achieve, is very important. It shouldn't happen that we say in 10 years or 15 years, all vehicles on road will be on this, there will be electric vehicle, but for the battery, I will continue to import in a significant way than we have. So I think our present oil sector, the large organizations, we should be proud of them. They have done wonderful things. If they get into this, I think Reliance has also thought of getting into this manufacturing. Some of the other private players are also trying to get into battery manufacturing. At one stage, even NTPC was thinking in terms of, because now this thin line of divisions and basketing is getting eroded, and those people who are dealing with energy, they are thinking it's a good thing. Large organizations coming in support of technology development, and large organizations coming in support of manufacturing. Not only BHL. BHL, of course, BHL could have been the leaders in this. We have a director, very eminent director here. She would enlighten us. But question is, from manufacturing side, I think these new technologies have to be embraced and have to be gone into, so that this type of appraisal that I'm now trying to put it, that should we again depend on manufacturing from outside in a big way? It is not that one is against import, but a substantial amount of this should happen within India. So I think another factor, apart from automobile manufacturer, conventional automobile sector, battery is a challenge, and battery again, the type of technology we choose, whatever environmental safeguards will have to be taken, that is a challenge. And the third challenge is a subject that we are discussing, and that is one of the subjects, that is the charging infrastructure. There again, technologies are changing very fast. And I think we have a network of petroleum stations, petrol pumps. We have the big housing colonies where this can be done. We have big commercial complexes where charging facilities can be created. So if we do it in a time-bound manner in the next 5 year, 10 year, 15 year, I think in 15 year, if not in 10 years, all vehicles on road could be electric vehicles. Railway is going in a big way. In fact, I was on the advisory board for some time of the railway energy management company, and we felt that out of 50,000 kilometers, we had done only 16,000 kilometers of electric traction. And railway has made a massive program of electrifying almost all the important routes, and that will go into almost 40,000 kilometers. And that will be on electricity. So whole diesel and all that will go. So I think that would be a good thing. So electricity being embraced into different consumption points like this in transport is a great development. But the challenges that are, one is the challenge of managing the transition. Another is challenge of, again, not depending in a big way on import. And the third is charging infrastructure, which has to be, again, modern, which has to be fast, which has to be convenient. So I think with these few words, I welcome all the speakers and all the participants. And we can begin with the first speaker is Renukaji. Renukaji, I think you will set the tone for discussion today, and then we have other speakers. Thanks. One thing we are thinking whether electric vehicle will be affordable or not, both in terms of capex as well as operating cost. The issue, that is why we had the caption today of discussion, charging infrastructure. If charging infrastructure becomes totally unaffordable, and one point that Jindal made that the present utilization is hardly 7 to 10%, in which case, is a first chicken or egg. I think something has got to be done for charging infrastructure, which will mean the hardware of charging infrastructure and also the regulatory issues which Saurabh made. So unless regulatory issues are made sensible, it cannot be absurd price. So there is no debate on, Mr. Sharma, there is no debate on the cost plus fuel. If you take only cost plus fuel, even if marginally the capex of the buying cost of the electric vehicle is somewhat higher, the running cost is so low, it is almost 1/4 or 1/5. That point is already made. Charging infrastructure, which means hardware of charging infrastructure, and also the regulation of tariff. If they have to be made, why should tariff become 10 rupees when solar power is being available today at 2 rupees, 3 rupees, 4 rupees? So we have to see that. And if suppose we do a decentralized solar generation and allow this for the charging stations, so those are the issues that have to be sorted out. I think in the debate, if we waste time in the country, then we will never go to the electric vehicle. Electric vehicle now cost has come down. That is definite. And we have to get out of this dependence on petrol and diesel. I just now in the opening remarks, I told you, it is today's news item. 200% increase to 200% increase in the crude cost. You are quoted there. So that debate is a different debate. But charging infrastructure, if it does not get resolved, then stalemate will continue. See, two-wheeler, three-wheeler, buses and trucks, problems are limited. And that will be four-wheelers, charging infrastructure, one has to concentrate. Whether the municipal authorities will allow leasing of land or free or concessional rate. Saurabh said, I thought that perhaps petrol pumps could be one of these, but Saurabh made a good point that that point can still be continued because we are thinking of long queues. Long queues will not happen because it will take time for solar vehicle to increase in number. So that can still be worked out. Petroleum companies can think of alternatives. Charging infrastructure has to be focused upon. That is the right. Buses for two-wheeler and for three-wheeler, charging is not an issue today because as has been brought out in Jinder's that statement, that they are given self and they will do at their own time and leisure time and whatever. Four-wheeler is not picking up, and it is there where we need to do something, and some of the suggestions which Ajay Shankar made, that has to be considered by the regulatory commission, by the government. You see, all problems cannot be solved at once. So let us solve and move forward. Then that will increase the number, and that will also bring down the capex of everything, charging of your capital cost of the vehicle itself as the number grows. Yeah, Mr. Sharma, you were saying something. I am getting a little bit different type of comments. Are you saying that operating cost all by itself as compared to diesel and petrol per kilometer for the electric vehicle is more operating cost?
No, sir. No, sir. It is 1/10.
No, it is not that I in the four-wheeler case, people told that it is 1/4 or 1/5. Same is the case with somehow you have to indigenize it. But only thing is that this battery manufacturing and the presentation again the Tata Group made. There also so many things have to be imported. See, in our BHEL is still working on is there. Our Renuka. I think let us one is the time. If we have given 15 minutes, people can take 20 minutes and then others leave. That is the problem. But now the people who have made presentations, they are not there. From BHEL, there could be huge expectations. What examples she gave, there is still we are struggling on a few half a dozen things that is being produced. Prototype is being produced. Some commercial thing, for example, that is being produced. Then where we are, there are our star manufacturers. Tata should also give. Where are we? Because it shouldn't happen that we embrace it in a massive way, only to be told that most of the things have to be imported. Then it doesn't work. It has to be transition management also is an issue here with the point that I made in the beginning, that maybe it could be 10-year transition, it could be 5-year transition. And transition management should invariably include how we are going to slowly, we can't bring down totally in the beginning, slowly bring down the import component. Otherwise, already we are in trouble in petrol and diesel with crude 85% coming from outside, and we are heavily under the burden of cost. But our speakers are not there.
I want to add.
Today's battery storage discussion was in the context of electric vehicle battery storage for our renewable evening. But how do we back up? That is another bigger issue. But today it was that when you have this vehicle, do you have enough batteries? So that is why the point in the beginning I made was that we have to have our major oil suppliers or others or BHEL or somebody who will stand up and say, okay, automobile people will do this, and who provides the battery, first battery along with the car, and then replace battery whenever required, and then charging facility. So I think there are challenges, but I think it is doable. Prices have come down, will come down further on so far as the vehicle is concerned. Economics of operation is very, very much there. Only thing is that municipal court, I agree with Anil Razdan that we can't be thinking of having a huge subsidized here, subsidized there. Even the 1,000 crore, sort of mentioned that 1,000 crore of subsidy is there on charging. Somewhere it has to be made revenue sharing model. Otherwise it will not work. I mean, if government has to give something, it should be given in a manner that is giving you for 30 years, and then there will be revenue sharing. If you make good models, then it need not be that upfront subsidy of 1,000 crore. Look at this thing. Today, a government has to lose these petrol and diesel vehicles. It's not that the petrol and diesel manufacturers are getting into problem. Government itself is getting into problem. They are getting, as you rightly said, that 2/3 is getting into the taxes. 1/3 is only is the other one. So therefore, with rising electric vehicle and slowing down of petroleum and diesel, then that is good for the country. But in the revenue balancing, the government, which is getting huge money by way of taxes, government will lose. And on the top of it, if we have to scale up on subsidy for charging infrastructure, facilities, yes, but monetary charging infrastructure subsidy I mean, large scale government will be reluctant and it may not be advisable policy. We will have to make it a bit more smooth. And part of this extra cost right in the beginning should be shared also by the customers because otherwise, instead of operating cost being 1/5, let it be only 1/3. If it is 1/5 as compared to the diesel and petrol, let there be not 1/5, let there be only 1/3, but part of that also goes there. So this whole economics will have to be worked out properly. Okay, so we close the discussion.
Yeah.
And thank